What's up, guys? Mickle here. And the other day we had a rumor that Gary Gensler could be resigning from the SEC soon. And although this rumor turned out not to be true, I want to talk about what could make Gary Gensler resign from the SEC, because John Deaton just broke down some very interesting facts where he believes that if these things were to happen, Gary Gensler would be forced to leave the SEC. In this video, I want to talk about what John Deaton had to say about this, whether or not I think this is going to happen, but towards the end of the video, actually transition into a topic that is definitely very controversial, and that is why I think XRP could one day get to 4 digits. In this video, I want to go over why I think people severely underestimate just how high XRP's price could go. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video to see that. You are not going to want to miss it. Like always, your support means so much to this channel. If you want to see more videos just like this, make sure to take a quick second to hit the like and subscribe button down below. It's really going to help me out so much. Also, if you ever need a good place to buy some XRP or the Flare token, make sure to check out my favorite exchange Uphold down in the description of this video. With that said though, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. So I want to start this video off and talk about Gary Gensler resigning, because the other day we saw a rumor come out that Gary Gensler was going to resign from the SEC. Now, if you watched my video yesterday, I believe it was, you would know that I pretty much said I thought this rumor was fake. All the sources were pretty sketchy, but ultimately I said despite the fact that it was a fake rumor, I did think there was some truth to the fact that Gary Gensler could be resigning soon. And apparently I wasn't the only one who thought this, because Ryan Selkis and John Deaton also came out in support of this idea. Ryan Selkis tweeted out, "I would not be surprised if Gary Gensler resigns soon. His only political future rests on bowing out gracefully in order to do this administration a solid in an election year, because we are making him an issue that could cost Dems the Senate and key electoral college states." Now, I think this is very important to understand. I think people severely underestimate how big the cryptocurrency voter base is. I know so many people in my personal life, like myself, who are not that involved in politics, but are purely going to vote for candidates who are pro-cryptocurrency going into the future. I am not going to support any candidate, regardless of their political party, if they do not support cryptocurrencies. And there is a surprising amount of people like this. Now, what you need to understand is the last couple elections, despite how one-sided they might have been from one side or the other, really came down to just a couple thousand votes in swing states. We need to realize that these two parties, Democrats and Republicans, are really fighting over a small amount of votes to win elections. They cannot afford to be polarizing themselves with political parties like the cryptocurrency party, who really have become single issue voters. Most people I know who are heavily in the cryptocurrency industry only care about electing people who are pro cryptocurrency. So the point I'm trying to make here is I really do think there's going to be a point in the future where Democrats are forced to become more pro cryptocurrency. If they realize how strong our voter base is, they are not going to care about cryptocurrencies anymore because of money laundering or because of all of these random excuses they make up to be anti-cryptocurrency. Once they realize how powerful this voter base is, all their opinions on cryptocurrencies are going to flip on a dime. And this is something I absolutely know, because we are already seeing it. We are already seeing people in the Democratic Party stray away from the base issue of being anti-cryptocurrency, like Richie Torres, and come out and actually criticize Gary Gensler for holding back the cryptocurrency industry. So just like I was saying in my video yesterday, Ryan Selkis agrees. There is a good chance Gary Gensler could be forced out of the SEC simply because he is creating such an issue for the Democrats going into the next election. Now, John Deaton actually brings up another very interesting point in regards to this. He said, "We need House Republicans and others to subpoena all records, emails, correspondence, and notes regarding meetings and communications between Gary Gensler, the SEC, Sam Bankman-Fried, and FTX." And guys, this right here is probably the easiest way to get Gary Gensler out of the SEC. We know there is absolute dirt all over Gary Gensler when it comes to FTX. Gary Gensler was refusing to meet with people like Brian Armstrong of Coinbase, refusing to meet with Brad Garlinghouse of Ripple, refusing to meet with any legitimate cryptocurrency company. Meanwhile, he was having countless meetings with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. This is absolutely a monstrous issue just hiding in the background. And what John Deaton is saying here is 100% true. we need House Republicans to subpoena these documents from Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. Now, so far, all the Republicans have done is go out and say, oh, Gary Gensler, will you please give us these documents? Obviously, a guy like Gary Gensler is never going to do that. While I hate Gary Gensler with almost every ounce of being in me, I have to admit, when it comes to being a politician, he's actually pretty good at it. He knows how to dodge questions, he knows how to not hand over information he wants to hand over, and he is not going to make it easy for House Republicans. So the big question going around right now is, and Meta Law Man posed this exact thing, he says, why hasn't this happened? Why haven't House Republicans came out and subpoenaed this information from the SEC and forced them to hand it over? And I think Dave right here absolutely nails it. And he says because there are quite a few people on both sides of the aisle who are a lot closer to Sam Bankman-Fried than most of us would like. And I think this is the biggest issue right here. While Gary Gensler has a lot of egg on his face for the entire Sam Bankman-Fried scenario, at the end of the day, it actually runs a lot deeper than many people in Congress want to admit. House Republicans want to make it seem like they're going super hard on Gary Gensler, but they're really not. They have brought him in for a few congressional hearings, but there is a lot more they could be doing. At the end of the day, I have a feeling the reason they haven't gone so hard on this FTX issue is really because there is a lot of people on that side of the aisle caught up in it as well. Overall, we're just going to have to see how this plays out. I think what House Republicans really want to do is tie Gary Gensler into a new issue or force him to voluntarily hand something over that he doesn't mean to, but they want to try to get him out. It's just interesting to me that they have this perfect issue to get him out, being the whole FTX debacle, and they've really been tiptoeing around it. Ultimately, I think both me, John Deaton, and Ryan Selkis all agree one of these days, there is going to be that piece of evidence that is going to force Gary Gensler to walk. And until then, I'm just going to be crossing my fingers that we get something big on him and he is forced to resign. So I want to finish this video off and kind of talk about why I think so many people get the value for XRP wrong. Now, one of the biggest reasons why I think people have a hard time conceptualizing just how big Ripple and XRP could be one day is because people look at the companies we have today, people look at the asset classes we have today and try to say, oh, because this asset class, because this company is this size, XRP could probably get maybe a little bit bigger than Apple, but it couldn't get much bigger than Apple. XRP could maybe get a little bit bigger than gold, maybe double gold, but that's probably it. And I want people to understand this is a really bad way of analyzing market caps. Market caps are extremely confusing because what people do is they take different technologies, different assets, different companies, and try to compare the market caps to one another. But in the long run, what people always find out is comparing market caps never works. Back in 2000, during the internet bubble, many people, many speculators, many people who really understood the internet were looking at companies like Amazon and Apple and saying these are going to be the biggest companies in the world. But they were shut down. We're told they were talking nonsense because essentially at the time, the biggest companies were oil companies and the smartest investors in the room were saying there's no way these internet companies could get bigger than these big oil companies. Do you realize how much money these big oil companies are making? But what happened was it didn't matter that the big oil companies were making more money. They're still making more money than a lot of the tech companies that are bigger than them. But what happened, and this is the thing that no one can ever wrap their head around, is the tech companies were fundamentally more important to the world and therefore drove a higher valuation. There is a reason why Apple trades at such a high market cap. There is a reason Amazon trades at such a high market cap. And it's because the technology they brought to the world was fundamentally transformational and therefore drove a higher valuation. We are going to see the same exact thing happen with cryptocurrencies, only in an exponentially larger way. The fascinating thing about cryptocurrencies is they are a brand new platform for everything of value. You can put stocks, you can put gold, you can put currency all on cryptocurrency networks, and the total value of each one of these asset classes can then be reflected on the blockchain. So not only do you have the blockchain itself demanding a certain amount of value because it's a game-changing innovation, but it can also have entire different asset classes tokenized on top of the blockchain, which is just going to drive further value. And one thing we know is that a lot of the assets, a lot of the money in our current financial system isn't even being reflected anywhere right now. I saw a report just the other day, and I actually broke this down in this little sheet right here. It's going to be kind of hard for me to show. Let me see if I can figure this out. Okay, so I was reading some report the other day, and I took this out because I think it will give you guys a much better concept of exactly where these market caps can go. The Automated Clearing Network is one of the largest payment networks in the entire world. It's hosted in the United States, and last year it moved $76.7 trillion. Do you realize how much money this is flowing around the financial system that is not tokenized but one day will be? All of this value will one day end up on public blockchains, and this number will be much larger when it is on these blockchains. We are talking trillions and trillions of dollars that are going to flow onto this network. People right now say XRP can't get to a certain size because, oh, it can't be bigger than Apple and they have a $2 trillion market cap. We are talking about trillions of dollars put directly on these networks, and that's why these networks, these platforms, are going to drive valuations and market caps that most people can't wrap their head around. We are moving into a brand new financial system where all these different assets, all these different payment processes, and all these different networks are tokenized and put on public blockchains. This is going to drive amounts of value to these networks that most people cannot even wrap their head around. That's why when I look at the current state of the XRP Ledger network with some crazy small valuation with XRP trading at $25 billion, I just know that if XRP gets the mainstream adoption I know it could one day get, it is going to drive prices for XRP that are exponentially higher than any TA analyst or any single influencer is predicting right now. I remember in the early days when I was investing in Tesla, everyone was saying, oh, Tesla going to $500 was so unrealistic. It could never happen. That's crazy talk. Obviously, Tesla's had some splits since then, so the price is actually a lot higher than where it's trading now. It's almost quadruple that, but Tesla blew right through that ceiling. It went so much higher, and even today, it's still going up and creating valuations that people back in the day said made 0 sense. Ultimately, if we are right on XRP being one of the most important technologies in the world, it is going to blow past every single price prediction. It is going to blow past all the price predictions people are making today, and I think it's just a matter of time before I really think we start seeing progress towards those goals. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this update. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does mean so much. And for now, Mickle out.